What if I told you Donald Trump just triggered World War III? And nobody noticed because it happened in 72 hours, in a country most Americans can't find on a map, for reasons the White House refuses to admit. This is Operation Absolute Resolve, the reckless military gamble that could destroy the global order. And the mainstream media is barely covering it. On January 3, 2026, Trump authorized an illegal military invasion that historians will mark as the beginning of World War III. Not with nuclear missiles, not with a declaration of war, but with a unilateral act of aggression that shattered 80 years of international law. Over 150 aircraft, F-22 Raptors, B-1B Lancers, launched from 20 bases across the hemisphere. The target, Venezuela, a sovereign nation. The objective, kidnap their president and seize the world's largest oil reserves. This wasn't a police action. This was an act of war. Trump didn't ask Congress. He didn't consult the United Nations. He didn't even tell our allies. He just did it. Because he could. Because nobody stopped him. The operation was a tactical success. Cyber attacks blinded Caracas. Missiles destroyed Russian air defenses. Delta Force breached Maduro's bunker in 3 minutes. By dawn, Maduro was in American custody aboard the USS Iwo Jima. But here's what Trump isn't telling you. This wasn't about democracy. This wasn't about human rights. This was about oil. 303 billion barrels. The largest proven reserves on Earth. Bigger than Saudi Arabia. And Trump just stole them. The consequences, catastrophic. Russia's defense industry just collapsed. Their S-300 and Buk M2E missile systems? Obliterated in minutes. Decades of arms exports? Exposed as worthless. India is canceling contracts. The Russian military-industrial complex is in freefall. And Putin is humiliated. China lost $59 billion in Venezuelan investments overnight. Their Belt and Road strategy in Latin America? Shattered. And Beijing's response? Economic warfare. Rare earth export restrictions. Semiconductor embargoes. Supply chain disruptions. The petrodollar is dying, and China is accelerating its collapse. This is how World War III starts. Not with a bang. With a trade war that spirals into military confrontation. Colombia mobilized 30,000 troops to the border. Not to help Trump. To defend against him. President Petro condemned the invasion as a violation of sovereignty and called for emergency UN sessions. Brazil refused to recognize the US-installed government. Mexico invoked the Estrada Doctrine. The entire Western Hemisphere just turned against the United States. Trump destroyed 200 years of hemispheric diplomacy in 72 hours. And here's the cost nobody's talking about. 32 Cuban soldiers were killed defending Venezuelan installations. Uniformed combatants. Members of Cuba's Revolutionary Armed Forces. Trump ordered American forces to kill 32 Cuban nationals in combat. That's an act of war against Cuba. And Havana has vowed retaliation. How long before Cuban operatives strike back on American soil? How long before this escalates? Vice President Delcy Rodriguez went from condemning Trump's brutal aggression to begging for dialogue in less than 72 hours. That's not diplomacy. That's surrender at gunpoint. That's what happens when a superpower goes rogue. And Trump's already threatening the next target. Colombia, you're next, he told President Petro during a press conference. Watch your A***. Mexico, Cuba, they're all on his list. This isn't the Monroe Doctrine. This is the Trump Doctrine. Regime change by executive order. Invasion without authorization. War without declaration. This is fascism with a military budget. North Korea's response? A hypersonic missile test Monday morning. Their message to the world. Giving up nuclear weapons is suicide. Venezuela disarmed. Look what happened. Every rogue state on Earth just got the green light to go nuclear. Trump's invasion just guaranteed nuclear proliferation for the next 50 years. The legal crisis is unprecedented. No congressional authorization. No UN resolution. Article 2 of the UN Charter explicitly prohibits the use of force against territorial integrity. Trump's justification? He called it a law enforcement action. He's calling a military invasion an arrest warrant. This is the precedent Trump just set. Any nation with an indictment from a U.S. court is now fair game for invasion. China could be next. Russia could be next. Any country that defies Washington is now a target. This is the end of international law. The reconstruction will cost $250 billion. Who's paying? American taxpayers. Who's profiting? Chevron, ExxonMobil, ConocoPhillips. The oil majors are already negotiating licenses with the puppet government Trump installed. This is privatization by force. This is theft disguised as liberation. And the environmental cost? Orinoco Belt oil is the dirtiest crude on Earth. High carbon, high sulfur. Restoring production means locking in fossil fuel dependence for another 50 years. The Paris Agreement? Dead. Climate action? Abandoned. Trump just sacrificed the planet for oil company profits. The geopolitical chessboard isn't just flipped. It's on fire. Russia is humiliated and plotting revenge. China is retaliating with economic warfare. Latin America is unified against us for the first time in history. North Korea is building more nukes. Cuba is preparing retaliation. And Trump? He's threatening to invade Colombia next. This is World War III. It's not coming. It's here. It's just not being fought with tanks and trenches. It's being fought with cyber attacks, economic sanctions, proxy conflicts, and unilateral military strikes. And Trump just lit the fuse. The United States won the raid. But we lost the peace. We captured Maduro. But we destroyed hemispheric trust. We seized the oil. But we triggered a global fracture that may never heal. This is the absolute mess. Trump's reckless gamble, his illegal war, his catastrophic failure of judgment. And the world will never forgive us. The mainstream media won't tell you this. They'll sanitize it. They'll call it a successful operation. They'll ignore the 32 dead Cubans. They'll ignore the constitutional crisis. They'll ignore the fact that Trump just started World War III. But we won't, because the truth matters, because accountability matters, because democracy dies in silence. If this investigation opened your eyes, hit that like button. Share this video everywhere. Ring the bell so you're notified when we expose the next story the mainstream media buries. The truth is under attack, and we need you in this fight. Presented by Word Up Media Network. Unfiltered, unforgiving, unapologetic.